All right, the subscribers, how are we? Thanks very much as usual for subscribing. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, we're deep into year 2 now, really, aren't we? Of the Lake Challenge, and we're still here. We're still going. The numbers slowly but surely continue to tick up. And lots of people tell us that their mate told them about it and they've got onto it now and all that kind of stuff. So if you can keep on spreading the word, that's much appreciated. And a few little comments have come up last few weeks on Twitter, just people saying, you know, really like the show, this is the reasons why and all that kind of stuff. All of that, brilliant. So thanks very much for those who are this side of the paywall, for shouting to those on the other side who are not. We're going to pick up the chat where we left off really earlier in the free show. Just talking about Jurgen Klopp a little bit more. 2 things that I didn't get to. 1 was your comments, and 2 was a whole load of stats and facts and figures about Klopp's time at Liverpool. So yeah, 1 Premier League title, 1 Champions League crown, an FA Cup, 2 League Cups, the Community Shield if you want to count that, a Super Cup, and a Club World Cup. The fastest team, I didn't know this one, did you know this one? The fastest team to reach 30 wins in that title winning season. Obviously, they were within 1 of breaking 100 points as well, but that doesn't really bother me, I've got to be honest with you. Obviously, as well, the Champions League final defeats by Real Madrid twice. The 2 seasons where we didn't win the league despite getting over 90 points. All of those kind of things. But there are a lot more as well. We mentioned in the other show, didn't we, about the figure which makes Klopp have the highest win percentage of any Liverpool manager. But also, if you compare that to other Premier League managers in terms of, this is just Premier League manager win ratio. So Guardiola, funnily enough, has got 74%, but you know, not exactly got the same deck of cards as old Jurgen there, I wouldn't say. Ferguson, 65.2%. Conte, 62.9%. Klopp, 62.6%. Mancini, 61.7%. Club of the manage. Mourinho, 59.8%. And Wenger, 57.5%. And yeah, he tops Dalglish, Paisley, Fagan, Benitez and Shankly for points per match. Oh yeah, that's something we didn't mention actually in the previous show. I don't know if you got onto this, sort of watching it from home. Did you get onto that? We did a bit of a started doing a bit of a greatest hits.
Oh, I loved it.
In terms of all the songs, you know, like Wijnaldum and Origi and, you know, all of these ones. Yeah, it was great. That was
found the way all the way to my old favourite, Luis Garcia.
Yeah, it was nice that. It made me laugh because obviously me talking about curmudgeonly old fellas is a bit fucking rich given some of the stuff we say on here. But there was some curmudgeonly old fellas go, "Why are we singing this?"
Oh, fucking hell.
And it was like, lads, I would have thought it's quite obvious. See that fella down there? He's been here for 9 years and managed the football club for 491 games. These are some of the players that played for him in that time, and we're just sort of going through the hits because it's an emotional moment, and you know it's quite a nice thing to do. That's why.
Yeah. Does that need explaining? Yeah. Does it? Just fucking hell.
Wild.
But you know, that it took me on to something else actually. Do you know? And this actually made me feel a bit sad as well. I thought they'd have got more of the old lads involved in some way. Do you know what I mean? And I know we've had all this controversy about Henderson going to Saudi and stuff, but at the end of the day, that side, you can talk about the rebuild and 2.0 all you want, but now that he's gone and we can reflect, that side that we watched and we had the privilege of watching, that hit the 99 points, won the Champions League, won the league for the first time in 30 years, that was one of the greatest Liverpool sides of all time. And we're talking about a football club. Carragher said this on Sky. You're talking about the best football club in this country. And you're talking about some of the greatest football teams have been involved in that football club. Klopp managed and created one of the best. Like literally to the point where the curmudgeonly old men that you're talking about would literally be like, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't just automatically dismiss it, which we've seen plenty of times over the years, haven't we? Nah, you'll never get as good as this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No centre-half will ever be as good as Hansen, all of that kind of stuff, yeah.
For the first time ever, we literally had those fellas going, yeah, it's, you know, I don't know, you know, it's close. That's how good that football team was. So I just thought it was a bit sad that we didn't see anyone. Like, how nice would it have been to see Bobby Firmino back, or Sadio Mane, or Jordan, or Fabinho, just Gini Wijnaldum, like just to see them again. And look, I'm sure people will be saying to me, yeah, but they've come playing for their clubs or whatever, and but they weren't even, the fact that most of them weren't even in like the videos and stuff. I'd have thought we'd have got a little message.
Another thing we didn't mention was, which I've loved, is just Klopp turning up on Instagram. You know, just randomly happened in the last week. You know, straight away he's got like 1 million followers, as you would expect. Yeah. But you know, he's smashing that as well already. You know, like his nice little video about sort of, you know, that was my last training session and all that, but then he's throwing up some funny stuff in there as well, stuff with John Barnes and all that. Well,
I'm gonna have to get on it to have a look. I'm intrigued to see how long he lasts, because it's going to be his first experience, isn't it? Pretty much, you would guess.
We said that, didn't he? He said, I'm told this is a way to stay in touch.
Yeah, imagine what his idea of what staying in touch is compared to what we've experienced over the years of the wild, like the wilderness and the fucking wildness. Have
you clocked though?
Instagram,
I mean, like,
comments or whatever.
This is what people do who use, you know, Instagram regularly. Sound like a proper R fella. I'm on Instagram and I use it. You know, it's not just about the posts, is it? And it's not just about that. You'd have a look, don't you? Like, who's he following?
Yeah. But that, as he started following anyone, yeah, people I'd love.
So that's what I was going to say. So if you look who he's following, he's followed like loads of the ex-players and all that kind of stuff. Lads, yeah. But like, you know, Coutinho, he's followed Coutinho.
Oh, okay.
And like I saw that and I thought, oh, well, that's good.
That's nice, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, it was a bit of an all-ass way that he left, and you know, the back injury and all that kind of stuff that went on. And it was like, you know, he obviously didn't want him to go and all that kind of stuff. So when I saw that, it's that thing again. It's only a little thing, that, isn't it? But I saw it and I thought, it's nice that.
But well, you've just made me think of something now. This will be the next thing in the media, because the media will miss him, won't they? The media will miss the headline generation that he gives and the clicks he creates. The next thing we'll get into is that thing we laughed about a week or two about Joe Nunes has deleted all his Liverpool pictures on Instagram. The next thing will be Klopp commenting on all those lads' pictures. That'll be the thing he's using to entertain himself now, won't it? Joe taking the piss out of them when they're doing something, or something like that.
Well, that'll be a story, won't it? Anything he does is a story. Yeah.
Klopp liked such a picture that me. You know, you're getting a call in the middle of the show here, lad.
Yeah. Someone spamming me.
Something I wanted to talk about, which I feel like because I didn't go out last night, I need to get some of this out. Something that I thought was a bit weird, and I wanted to get your view on it, because Joe, behind the scenes of all this, it's a senior manager in an organisation having his last day on the job.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, Joe, because he posted on Instagram, didn't he, about his empty office? But that was on Saturday or Friday, I think. And I thought, isn't this being done the wrong way round? Like, and I wondered, have they done it this way round because the last game actually doesn't really matter? And would it have been different if we were going for the league? But I thought it was a bit mad that they've done all those like highly emotional, Joe, last day at work, saying goodbye to everyone at AXA, packing up your office and all that before the game. I thought they'd have gone, focus on the game up until the game, and then
I think it was because it was done, isn't it?
Do you think it was because it was done?
Yeah, I think so. I think
everyone can get off on holiday quicker.
I think there maybe would have been a conversation if the title was still in the balance and we still had the chance. But you know, it was third place no matter what, wasn't it? Yeah. There was nothing, you know, in those terms to worry about. And I think, I mean, I've seen some people saying, you know, it's over the top and like it's too much, and
which,
you know, all of it.
Everything.
You know, like it's almost too much Klopp content. It's too many interviews. It's, you know, the long goodbye is too long, and it's like, you know, look, you can't, like, whatever you do, I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? Like, whatever you do, there's someone who isn't happy. And the internet means you always see the people who aren't happy with whatever it is that you do.
Of course. But what makes me laugh about that is it's always, I remember always laughing with Neil on the rap about this. Like the people that moan that there's too much content. And you're like, you don't have to watch it all, you know?
No, yeah.
You don't have to
I
watch
haven't.
every interview he does. I haven't. There was a couple I started watching. I was like, I haven't got time for that.
I like the little one the club did. It was only like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, that was
And it was
really
like
nice.
with the you I can't even say the phrase. What's the song that was on it? Real Thing, wasn't it?
Oh, you to me and everything. That
Yeah.
one.
That was good. That was well done.
Yeah.
And like just little things got me here and there as well. You know Glenn Price, who used to come on the Anfield app. Obviously, he works for the club and has done for a significant number of years, all of which have been during the Klopp era. Like, and I heard I heard various things like Klopp. Obviously, the last press conference he did, he gave all the journalists a bottle of champagne and things like that. And apparently, there was a bit of a sort of like, sorry about that with James Pearce. But apparently, he said to Glenn, "I've seen you grow up."
Oh.
You know what I mean? And it's just like little things like that are nice, aren't they? And like seeing Phil Reed, who works for the club and has worked for the club throughout Jurgen's reign as well, and he put up on his Instagram like a picture of him with Jurgen at the start and a picture with him at the end, and obviously like he was quite a young lad then, and he's an older lad now, obviously 9 years. But little things like that I found nice. Someone's putting in the comments there actually just saying, what do you reckon the Klopp cast is coming soon? Mark my words. But there is a thing about what is he going to do? Like I heard a clip of an interview today, and I'm not sure when it was from. I don't know whether it was from when he did his original announcement or whether it was more recently. Like I say, there's a lot of content kicking around, so it's hard to keep up, isn't it? But he was basically saying everyone assumes that I'll just come back to football. Everyone assumes that that's what you do. And he's like, and that it's seen as a bit of a drug and that, we can't get away from it and we ended up being drawn back in and we come back again. And he was saying, but it's always been my plan that I don't want to do this until I'm 70. And he was sort of saying, it sounded like he was saying, no, I am not going to do it. You all think I'm definitely coming back, but I don't think I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, and you just think about like there are definitely loads of things he could do because he's Jurgen Klopp, isn't there? So, someone wrote a piece and I didn't read it actually, but I didn't need to because I thought, well, I knew that, and it was a piece about like how he's always made a fair bit of dough on the it's not on the sly, is it? He's always made a fair bit of dough out of commercial deals because obviously he's great on camera. Everyone likes him. And despite us moaning in the other show and lots of Reds moaning about blades who really shouldn't take our attention, but they do, don't they? There's a lot of what I noticed today, like even going in the office, like so in my office, I'm not working with any football fans. Like none of them are bothered about football whatsoever. And yet they all were like, I like Klopp though. I'll miss Klopp. Do you know what I mean? So he's got that like every man, every woman appeal, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Which, marketeers, advertising agencies will and have pay a fortune for. Do you know what I mean? So he could just, he could just box himself off doing little adverts here and there, couldn't he? Yeah. Being a cool bastard.
Well, this is the thing, like in those interviews, and he said it repeatedly over the past few months. He hasn't, when he used the word retirement in an interview a few months ago, and they were like, "You're retiring," and he went, "Oh, no, I've just used the wrong word, haven't I?" But so he keeps making the point of saying, "I will work." So you're all saying I'll be bored, like knocking around the house. I won't be. I'm gonna work, but I can very much see him doing a job like not like a normal fella. He's not going to end up working in an office job, like doing a call center calls or anything. But I can see him going, I want to just go and do a job now that doesn't consume my life.
Yeah.
So I want something to do where I go in on a Monday and I do all day in the office and I have a laugh with everybody and I make an impact and I can still go on Sky and do all that. And then I go home and I have my family time and I have my weekends and I get to watch footy. And I get to go away with me missus, and I get to see my family, and I get to have a few weeks off every year to go travelling.
Have a bevy, play paddle tennis.
Yeah, I can very much see that. And I know he joked the other week about the FIFA job and stuff like that. But there are going to be some high-profile jobs in various football clubs that anyone would be desperate to have Jurgen Klopp in for his experience and his influence. I remember thinking, and probably said this ages ago, I'm sure it was either John Henry or Tom Werner or both, basically said he could have any job, senior job in any part of our organisation. So he could come in and be a CEO of a business. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what it is. He's just a great manager. He's a great leader of people.
Great communicator.
Yeah. He could come in and he can have his pick of things. But I can imagine, I know we've talked about, and there's probably I think there's an assumption he'll end up as the German manager one day. But I was thinking about that at the weekend and thinking, I'm not sure a part-time management job, which is what international football is, I'm not sure he'd enjoy that. Because he doesn't get to build a culture, does he? And he doesn't get to have that impact on players that he gets in a club.
Know, but equally,
but it might suit him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, equally, like you could imagine, like he's going to be passionate about. You get the sense he's passionate about Germany.
Oh yeah, and chance to win a World Cup.
Yeah, so the idea that he would come through the door, I actually think I could see that suiting him, because he just comes. He only has them every now and then. Yeah. But equally, when he does have them, because of the way he is, they're all instantly going to like him, and they're all instantly going to be like, wow, he's got that wow factor. You want to play for him. That's another thing that we didn't talk about on the previous show when I'm saying about me doubts and me concerns and all that. There's a bit of me that's like, does the Liverpool star fall a little bit, now? Because where are we as a club? Well, in a pretty decent place, as we keep saying. And we've just finished third and we broke 82 points, or 80 points, sorry. All of that kind of thing. But there was definitely a thing, and we all said it so many times, didn't we, about Klopp bringing an X factor. Players wanting to play specifically for him, wanting to be coached by him, wanting to get the hugs, wanting to get he's shown a track record of improving players, didn't he, as well? Now, Slot, they are saying, has got that too. Mm-hmm. And like, the strikers that he's made much more prolific and things like that. But is it to the level where it's influencing transfers like this summer? Are the people looking at it? Are there enough people looking at it, agents, players, whatever, saying, I want to play for him? I don't know.
No, well, I think that's not even a don't know, is it? That's a no.
It's a no, yeah.
Yeah. But the flip side of that is
Liverpool. There's the playing for Liverpool thing.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is who are those managers now? I think we're just in a bit of a.
Well, you'd want to play for Alonso, wouldn't you? After he's just gone unbeaten.
Yeah, but other than him, like if we'd have got Amorim, players aren't going to be going, I'd love to play for Amorim, are they? It's like there's a load of managers now who are just sort of bubbling under that the next great level.
You still got Ancelotti, obviously.
Yeah, but he's like the other end of the spectrum, isn't it? There's like age-wise, I mean, there's just like a bit of a gap, I think. Because because of Benitez and Mourinho, their stars have faded. Conte's stars faded a bit. And there are others around Europe all coming up, but those type of things, it only takes Slot to have a great first season, and then people will want to come and play for him, won't they? Like look at Alonso.
Yeah.
A year ago, you ain't getting
a great 6 months.
You ain't getting people going a year ago. Oh, you'd want to go and play for Alonso, though, wouldn't you? A year later, you're like, Jesus Christ, he's the next Messiah.
Yeah, hit the ground coming in. I'll start again. Hit the ground running in August, and you're flying. Players will want to come in the January.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how fickle it all is, isn't it?
Well, and it's not just what people see from the outside, is it? Once he takes over a club like Liverpool and he starts managing Van Dijk and Salah and Trent and all these people, and they go off and they're speaking to their mates inside the industry, going off on international duty. If he's brilliant, for all we know, he comes in and they're saying behind the scenes, look, you can't replace Klopp as the man, as we keep saying, but they might be behind the scenes going, Slot's better than him as a coach, like as a tactical coach. We've seen it. Like, look at the way players talked about Benitez. They were like, he was brilliant. He was a genius. He was a shitman manager. He didn't have anywhere near the impact that Klopp has had. He did on a certain group of like fans our age and stuff, but you can't put him in the same category, can you? Like personality wise, he was awkward but the players who played for him, even the ones who don't like him, will say, "What?
Didn't like him."
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, I was actually thinking more of Steve Warnock this week, saying like he hated him, but still at the same time saying he's brilliant though. Like, best tactical coach I've ever played for.
That's pretty much where Gerrard was with him, wasn't he?
Well,
You know,
I think he wasn't that bad with him. I didn't hate him, did he? He was like, he got the best out of me.
Well, I always got the feeling there wasn't too much love lost there, but like, yeah, I mean, he hated being played on the right, didn't he? But then was literally player of the year, wasn't he, on the right?
Yeah,
and
had his best goal scoring year of all time. Yeah.
All of that kind of thing.
But that's what I mean. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing that. Do you know, like, we start keeping clean sheets at the start of next year, and Van Dijk's like, at the end of the day, we're keeping clean sheets now. So,
are you bothered? Just a question for you. I'll look at some comments as well, and wanted to talk about, you know, the team, Klopp inherited, and there's absolutely loads. There's how did I think we weren't filling shows here? Are you bothered at all? Just because the news is broken, just as we started the previous show. Does it bother you at all that we've gone from a manager, a leader, a fella with that, you know, that authority and that stature, etc., etc., etc. Slot is now confirmed as head coach. Does that bother you?
No, I think it comforts me more. I think because it's so rare.
It fits to what you just said as well, doesn't it? I think in that there's not really anyone. I mean, you know, Ancelotti's probably the one, like you know, people were doing that, and more bevies were getting consumed. That was the only one I could think of when we were in the pub. I was like, if you'd got him, then he's got that stature, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine we got him and he was coming in today, you'd be like, okay, now
yeah, we'll have
here
that.
we go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But outside of him, away from him, but it's back to when we did that long list, isn't it? You know, of everyone who was in the run, and you were like, So, yeah, you're all right with it, are you?
I'm all right with it generally because I just think it's more sustainable. Like, for the future of the football club, it's a better long-term plan, because the reality is the Fergusons, the Wengers, the Klopps of the world are rare, especially in the modern age. Plus, the demands on a modern manager, go back to what you were saying on the main show, something you said, the demands on Jurgen Klopp compared to the demands on Bob Paisley, it's just night and day, isn't it? Bob Paisley would have come in, coached the team, done a press conference, gone home. There wasn't all this other stuff he had to deal with. He didn't have to sort out pre-season tours in the United States and Singapore and Thailand. He didn't have to do media commitments all week. We live in a completely different world, and I think to expect all of that of one person is just way too much now. Plus, it's a much higher risk strategy, because it's like and I'm sure, you know, we're owned by a hedge fund basically. They'd be looking at that thinking it's too high. It's too high risk. There's a single point of failure in all of this. Like, if he just decides to walk away, or he just goes shit suddenly, or has a breakdown, the whole thing comes crumbling down. Whereas the structure that they've put in place now is just more sustainable, and it's more likely to lead to success, and it also hedges against failure, because if Slot comes in and he isn't successful, to replace him isn't as big a deal.
There's a few people, I think, that, you know, your traditionalists, I guess, who will look at it and see it as, well, that's not the Liverpool way, and, you know, like the last man was a manager, and then this fella's a head coach. Like, there's a comment in the comments saying, massively bothers me, head coach. Feels like we're going back to Rodgers. Liverpool's built on great managers, and we're unique with that approach. But then he says, but I agree that there isn't anyone apart from Alonso that could probably have commanded that.
But could even have Alonso have done it? Like, manager, like general manager, like all that responsibility on one person. Look what it's done to Klopp. And Klopp is a rare human, and it's over 9 years. He's ready for a massive break now. I think it's just so much to ask of anyone. I keep going back. I've said it before. I said this taxi driver the other day, or someone else. Alex Ferguson is a myth that hangs over everybody. Alex Ferguson was a CEO of football. That's what he was. He didn't coach the team day to day. He was like the master. I've always got this image in my mind that someone mentioned, like, his office overlooked the training pitch, but had, like, you know, one-way glass so you couldn't see in. So every now and then, he just bang on the glass. He wouldn't even be on the training pitch. he'd bring in a new coach every 3 years to keep it fresh, keep the players on their toes, and then he'd come on Saturday and he'd talk to the team. And people talk about this, Joe, this idea of managing everything. I just don't think it's possible for one person anymore.
The reason I'm grinning a little bit is Matt has sent us something on Twitter. So Liverpool,
I've seen it. I was going to mention it to you.
Have you? Yeah. Liverpool advertising for a first team set piece coach on LinkedIn.
It's mad that it's on LinkedIn, isn't it?
Yeah. Should we have a little run through? So we are looking for a UEFA A licence or equivalent coach to join our first team as a set piece coach. In this role, you will be a tactical specialist responsible for maximising the team's performance in all set piece situations. This involves thorough analysis, meticulous planning, and the ability to expertly coach both offensive and defensive set piece strategies. And then there's a long list of what you will be doing. There's who we are looking for, why you should apply. A full-time permanent role working 35 hours across the week. Your main base will be our AXA training ground, close to local bars, shops and restaurants, and great views over the River Mersey. Huh?
No.
The training ground's in Kirby.
That's bullshit, isn't it?
And unless unless he's like sat in Chapel Street in like for half the day, and then he's on the. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. Does that work? As soon
as I saw this, I thought, is this bullshit?
You will have access to our benefits kit bag, where you can get high street discounts and a selection of benefit schemes. Blah 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 blah. I mean, it's there with the badge on it. Mid-senior level, 45 of your connections work here. I'm
just trying to get in. There's a link at the top. It says see who Liverpool Football Club has hired for this role. So I've just logged in to have a look where that could possibly take you.
So yeah, anyway, I mean, there's going to be lots of people off Twitter who can do that job, I would say.
They should all throw their application in, shouldn't they? Back to one of my favourite points, mate, whenever anyone's slagging off these people. Like, go and do it then. Yeah. Go and do your coaching badges.
Here's your opportunity, lads. Go and get involved. What were we talking about? Or what else were we going to talk? We're going to talk about some of the... Should we finally do some of the comments? Oh no, before we finally do the comments, if ever we do, I wanted to talk about the team. Day one of Jurgen Klopp, the team was Mignolet in goal.
I know, this is unbelievable. I want to talk about something else off the back of this.
Moreno left back, Skrtel and Sakho centre halves, Nathaniel Klein at right back, Lucas and Emre Can ahead of them, Coutinho, Lallana and Milner with Origi up top. And that was the 0-0 draw at Tottenham Hotspur. Since then, Klopp has fielded 121 players. Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, the lads with most minutes under him.
You can see if you look at that picture, there's like a graphic here, isn't there, showing in like big circles who's had the most minutes.
Yeah,
you can see the old team there, can't you?
Yes.
Alisson, Virgil, Matip, Gomez, Trent, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner, Firmino, Mane.
Need my glasses Salah. To read some of them.
Some of them go to
Nico Williams.
Infinity. But do you know the thing it reminded me of? That and no one ever talks about this anymore. And obviously you joked about them in between shows then. Remember we've talked in the past few weeks about when there was all that stuff about transfer committee, or everyone banging on about the transfer committee. Do you remember that spell? And it was probably a couple of years where everyone was like, John Achterberg's a shit goalkeeping coach. That's why our goalies are shit. We need to sack the goalkeeping coach. It's his fault. Whereas that since we bought a boss goalie, all of a sudden John Achterberg's not a shit goalkeeping coach anymore. That, Isn't that funny?
Yeah, funny that. Yeah, thrown in as well here. Bootle striker Joe Hardy got 8 minutes in the FA Cup, and that was it. Arter signed on deadline day 2022, managed 13 minutes for Liverpool.
God, that would be a list, wouldn't it? Because we always bang on about how great the signings have been. There's a handful of awful ones in the middle of it, isn't there?
That ends, yeah.
Remember him?
Salah with the most goals under Klopp, 211. Mane 120. Firmino 110. Yeah, you've got money spent. Can't be bothered talking about money spent.
Do you know what's interesting about that though? And look, I've said this before about City, and Klopp even said this, didn't he, at the weekend? Forget all the off-field stuff. If Guardiola isn't their manager, they don't do 4 league wins on the run. And that graphic about the net spend sort of sums that up. Like, it's got spends received and net spend in it. City are the second lowest net spend after us. Arsenal have spent more, United have spent more, and Chelsea have spent the most. And then even on the actual gross spending, Chelsea have spent more, and Man United have spent just under what City have spent. So it just shows you, like, they've been spunking money. But if you haven't got a Guardiola and you haven't got the right structure, you're just spunking money.
Yeah, and plus, you know, among those 115 charges are plenty of charges that suggest we haven't been met with absolute honesty about what people are being paid and all the rest of it. So I think we can say safely we will see on that score. And equally, you know, if someone's watching behind the paywall and wants to send us a seesaw, this letter, go ahead. I'd love one. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd pin it on my wall. I'd frame it. Yeah. I'd put it there for the show each week. So yeah, send one away. But yeah, I mean, let's do some of the comments, because we keep saying we're going to do some of the comments, and then we've done a whole hour on the other show and done no comments, and now we're into a second show and we're 30 minutes deep and we still haven't done any well. So we'll do some now. Mark Davis asks, what drugs are the people who ring into 606 phone in on? Discuss.
Ket. Does he want an actual answer?
Yeah, smack. I don't know, mate. But you know what I would say is that people who ring radio phone-ins tend to be a bit strange, and also if you're the person fielding the calls, you pick a blurt on purpose, don't you? Let's be honest, because what you want is everyone driving in the cars, listening at home, wherever you might be. You want them to be wound up, and you want them to ring in, and that's how phone-ins work, isn't it? So, previous version of me I've always listened to like tabloidy stuff or read it, because I do try and like consume stuff from across the spectrum. Just think, you know, if you're some kind of journalist, not saying I am particularly these days, but you should try and do that. And back in the day, I used to get really wound up about phone-ins now. Now I'm able to laugh at them and know what they're about, and I'm just not gonna fall for Robbie Savage these days, you know what I mean? But then, like, I can remember sitting in traffic, like absolutely slamming my steering wheel. I rang in once to Stan Collymore on TalkSport, because he was basically saying someone on the show was saying that we were out of order as a group of fans about how we were towards Roy Hodgson. And I was like, wow, and I pulled over and rang them, and I went on a big rant, so much so that they cut me off.
Oh, really?
But you know, I was happy with the badge of honour. So yeah, but now I'm just sort of like, oh yeah, I haven't told me Robbie Savage story.
Oh, I didn't know whether you could. You're going to tell it?
Yeah, absolutely. So people may know that I like to go and watch Marine from time to time. Marine, with a much smaller budget than Macclesfield, who are backed by Robbie Savage et al., beat Robbie Savage Macclesfield at Macclesfield. They got promoted. They are now Division 6, if you like, in this country, Conference North. Macclesfield stayed where they are. And Marine put in a great performance, obviously, to beat them on the day in front of their own fans, etc., etc., etc. What I heard, and it's from a very reliable source, as they say. I feel like, you know, I'm in the know here, in the know about Marine. So the hilariously titled, sorry mate, but you know, given that you're playing for a team in Liverpool, people are always going to say Bobby Grant, who plays for Marine up front and is a player. He's played in the league, like, and but he's playing for Marine now, and he's a really good player. Scored some great goals for Marine already this season, or the season just gone. He plays against Macclesfield, and obviously Robbie Savage must have liked what he saw, because in fairly recent times, since that game at Macclesfield, there were some games taking place at Buckley Hill, that famous, field of pitches in North Liverpool, and or Sefton, and Bobby was there watching his son, I think it was, and it just so happened for some reason Robbie Savage was there.
Mm-hmm.
So he idled over to Mr. Grant and said, will you be playing your football next season? And Bobby Grant said, not for you. Which is boss, isn't it?
Nice reply.
So he was like, he was having a little attempt to tap up Marine star striker. And apparently he just said to him, I'm from Crosby, I'm playing football in Crosby, and I'm happy. So yeah, I'm not interested, like. And I quite like the idea of Robbie Savage being rebuffed by a star striker on Buckley Hill footy pitches. So yeah, that's my goss.
It's nice at any level, isn't it? I always like stories at any level where money didn't turn someone, where they're just like, no,
yeah, I'm all right,
can't buy me,
I'm all right, Tar.
Yeah.
I'm happy here with my fam and all that. Yeah, I like it. Don't know what I did. On Twitter says of Klopp, glad his speech was more pissed uncle at wedding than anything else. He was unashamedly himself from the day he walked in through the door. Also glad he used the majority of his time to focus on everyone else. Mark of the humble man. We never said before in the other show when we were talking about the sort of like manufactured nature of that ending, and building a little stage and all of that kind of thing. Is there a party that wishes they just sort of gave him a mic and went, go ahead? You know what I mean? And
I think someone referenced the Dortmund one, didn't it? And I don't really remember it, but I feel like that was more what it was.
Yeah.
Like, just go ahead, just get on with it, go and have a pint. And,
yeah.
I do. I was like, having come from a very, very corporate work background, I was laughing to myself a bit. Like you said before, there was just a massive clash, wasn't there? Like the whole thing wasn't congruent. The fact that Klopp ran inside to get a load of red hoodies with "Thank you, love" written on, and he lashed them on, and then he's going up to like the billionaires standing on a plinth with, as someone said before, Joe, like the corporate gifts that they'd got him, and even every member of the backroom team, Joe, when they were having the photo behind the Wall of Fame, like miniature thing. But they weren't giving everyone one. They were just, you can have a photo behind this. But I was a bit like, I don't understand the point in this.
They are getting them, I thought. What I could see anyway.
They're all going to get one.
Like they were putting them down at the back, and it was like, well, it was so you didn't have to walk around the pitch.
But then second bit of that then, just to do a bit more moaning then separately, was like, I was like, yeah, but they didn't win all them. They didn't win all that. So you're like, when you put that on your wall, it's like that the Wall of Fame is Liverpool's, because that's what Liverpool's won over all the years. I understand why they've given Klopp, Joe, one of each trophy he won.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But for them to all go 19 league titles on your Wall of Fame picture, you're like, you didn't. You didn't win 19 league titles. We've done that in our history.
Proper Meldrew, that one.
That is proper Meldrew, isn't it? But the other bit of it was, which I did enjoy, was like the awkwardness of the suits. Did you get on? This is behind the paywall, proper little moan or like laughing bit. Did you get onto John Henry's kecks?
No.
Have you seen that?
Not seen his kecks. What were we working on? Madder than Carragher's?
No, like just a suit. He was in a suit, but you're like, come on, mate. They're the type my dad used to wear, and he'd get like my dad would buy a suit for 40 quid from fucking Home and Bargain. Do you know what I mean? You're a billionaire. You would think someone would say to him, those kecks don't fit you, mate.
But he's like a 74-year-old gonk, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but that was the thing I was going to say to you. Like, it was dead funny watching the awkwardness of him.
I know this is harsh, but this is the subscription show, and we always say we feel a bit safer here, and bollocks. When I see him every time, I wonder, is he like cryogenically frozen? You know what I mean? And like they fucking heat him up when he's got to come out into public, like, because you know he looks not far off dead, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's like grey. It's like, you know, just imagine like him in like a coffin or something, like, John, Jurgen's leaving. Fucking sitting up. Oh, my cacks don't fit. and off he goes to Anfield. Like, I mean, everything goes without saying. He's absolutely punching with Linda, isn't he? Like,
well, is he though? He's a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? It's that famous line, isn't it? Do you remember the Mrs. Merton one to Debbie McGee? I know it's a different end of the spectrum for our age demographic.
Yeah, I know,
but it's the line that's brilliant. It's like one of the all-time classic lines where she said to Debbie McGee, "So what first attracted you to multi-millionaire Paul Daniels?" Yeah. The thing that made me laugh about it was, or one of the things that made me laugh about it was looking at it thinking, to be a man who inspires a city, to inspires millions of people around the world, you have to have a personality like Jurgen Klopp. But to become a billionaire in this world that we've built, this weird world, you don't. That's a weird thing, isn't it? To be a billionaire, you don't need any of that personality. You can actually be quite a like awkward, introverted, odd character that looks he looks uncomfortable even hugging someone. Every time someone came to give him a hug, it was a bit like, not sure about hugging, to be honest. Can we just do a handshake? Which is sound, like, you're a billionaire, so fill your boots with whatever you want.
Into, yeah.
But it just made me laugh that the contrast between the two men.
Yeah, very much, yeah. MySpace Tom, niche reference, well, old reference there. Did you have a MySpace?
No.
I did.
Did you? I wasn't into any of that stuff back then.
Yeah, like, I had a MySpace, and
any dodgy stuff on there? It would still be there if you don't find it.
I don't know. I haven't looked for it for years.
Fucking, there's some content for the summer.
No, yeah. Do you remember everyone found Lallana's MySpace?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite funny, wasn't it?
Didn't Henderson have one as well? Or, like, I know, like, there's all stuff about the birds on there, isn't it?
Is it still like hosted? Is it still
I don't know. Someone must like screen grabbed it and stuff.
I'm gonna have a look now. I don't think it's there, no. Surely. Anyway, MySpace. Someone who's calling themselves MySpace Tom, but then their at is name for a girl. Don't know. Answers on a postcard. He says, or she says, I think I built up the last day a bit in my head, sort of like months of planning for a New Year's Eve event, and then hastily touting it as the best one yet. It never is, and if anything, it's always shitter. I wasn't in the stadium, mind you. Danke, Jurgen. There's probably something in that, isn't there? What he's saying there about it's almost being like overly planned and overly anticipated, and for weeks we've all been saying, what's the Wolves game going to be like? And even on the day, like, you could almost like touch the anticipation, you know, of it all. And so perhaps in that respect, it was just always going to be a disappointment in a way, whatever they did. So yeah, probably a good point there from MySpace Tom, name for a girl, etc., etc. We've got another one that says from Dubbers, I was ready to feel dejected, but Klopp's speech, which was pitch perfect, as always, gave me hope and excitement for next season. What did you guys think about Nunez's non-clapping for Klopp and what looked like total indifference to his last team tour? I've seen a few people referencing this team tour thing. Was that out there or something? Was it?
I've seen a clip of a team tour, but I thought it was after the match. It looked like the players were tired after the match. But
oh yeah, post-match. Yeah, it says in the comment. I haven't seen that. I've
seen it, but I didn't notice Nunez, but I wasn't looking for him. But again, I think it's another one of them where you're like, go and watch any of those, you know, Amazon Prime documentaries where they're behind the scenes and watch the players' faces while Guardiola's doing a motivational speech.
Looking at the bollocks and messing with the socks.
And then listen to any ex-pros like Ian Wright on that Stick to Football podcast, his boss on it. He's like, I never fucking listened. He was like, you know, I'd have George Graham screaming at me after, you know, I'm not asked. I'm not listening to you. I already know what I've got to do. I think people, I don't know what it is. We said before, I'll say it on you, like, whoever, you know, said they saw me at the bus stop and like, you know, he looked grumpy or whatever. And you're like, Like me and you were laughing, saying, "What do you want me to look like standing at a bus stop?" I think there's this weird expectation that everyone's got of.
Well, from now on,
what did Nunes? What should he be doing? Sitting there like
he could have fucking clapped though, couldn't he?
I know, I get that, but like I just can't get that arsed about it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I know.
And so what? Like what? Let's follow it to the nth degree, right? Where everyone wants to take this. Nunes doesn't like Klopp anymore. The fella who signed him. The fella who's played him all season, and so he's falling out with him. Well, who gives a fuck? Klopp's leaving now.
Yeah.
I don't. What's your point? You were all having a cob on with Salah the other week. Well, that's past now.
Michael Bennett says in the comments, we all go on about John Henry being tight in terms of buying players. He won't even buy his wife a new dress. She's had that one on since Klopp came.
It's a great point. Fucking can't get a tailor for his own suit and doesn't buy his wife a new dress.
Scruff.
Scruff.
Rud, I don't know how we're saying some of these names on here. Rud MYH_photos says, I'm worrying about Darwin and Lewis. They lost the confidence in finishing. I don't know how if they're not sold, but Arnie and his crew need to overcome this situation. My question, how new style of play and new personalities that will arrive will affect them? I think we already covered that, didn't we, when we were saying it's a clean slate for everyone, isn't it? I mean, like, they'll be armed with information, and I'm sure as soon as the approach was made to Slot and, you know, he's accepted it, he'll have people, if not himself, watching Liverpool, analysing Liverpool. He wouldn't be saying that in final press conferences, obviously, but you would think, wouldn't you, that like he's getting prepped all the way through. So I'm sure when he arrives, he'll have some opinions already. The wider team, you know, the director of football, the brain crew, if you like, they'll have their opinions.
Yeah.
But equally, he's able to say, and it will come across as a message that makes sense. Right, lads, doesn't matter about anything that's gone before. I haven't got a first team in my head. I want to watch what you all do pre-season. I'm going to see how, you know, the games unfold pre-season, and we'll go from there. Everyone's got a chance, basically. So
absolutely.
You would imagine that.
I'll tell you one thing, because I know no one was really asked about the match once it looked like we were going to win. So we haven't really talked about it. But I tell you, do you know when Joyce's tweeted with reference to Nunes and Szoboszlai personally, which I think is a weird thing. That's what Slot's going to needs to work on. I tell you something he does need to work on when he comes in. Converting when we've got a 5-on-2 break into a goal.
Yeah. Christ.
Jesus Christ, like, we're just taking the piss with that stuff now.
Yeah.
How many times this year have we had that situation and you're watching it going? And that one on Sunday, I was watching it going, oh, it's nice this, because Salah gets to get a goal in Klopp's last game. Still managed to fuck it up.
I know.
You know, Jesus
I know, it
Christ,
was wild,
lads.
wasn't it? I did think that. I was like, you know, it's 2-0 and it doesn't really matter and all of those things. But he's like, come on, lads.
Yeah.
Why isn't that resulting in a goal? Like, it's a bit worrying, really, isn't it? What else do we get? Michaela Kelly feels weird. There's something missing. Heard it yesterday that he's the first Liverpool manager to win his last game since 1928.
Yeah. That's a wild stat, isn't it?
I know, yeah. I was doing okay till Verge broke down. They all looked proper gutted. Steve Riley said still not absorbed it all yet. Reckon the penny won't drop until pre-season starts with the new man in place. We've had long enough to get used to it though, so I'm fine. I think most acknowledge the possible need for a change. Excited to see what Slot brings. Someone else, Mike, saying it won't hit me until pre-season begins, I guess. New manager, new start. Not sure how it felt in the ground, but watching on TV yesterday, it felt like a corporate event. Can't help but feel Klopp would have wanted more of a party occasion. Maybe inside the ground it was ish. It was kind of strange in the ground. We talked about that already. Blonde Tips of Harvey says those new kits need to be murdered somehow, like actually murdered, not figuratively, actual violence. I'm not sure how one achieves that on an inanimate object, but there's got to be a way.
Doesn't like the kit now.
Strong feelings on the kit there. I mean, you know, I'm the stuff I do. I'm on the supporters board, and we got, you know, shown the kit, like the presentation from the club, if you like, and they asked if there was any feedback, and I was like, no one said that at first, and I was just sitting there on like this Zoom call, and I went, like, the collar. don't like the collar. What's going on with the collar? Don't get the collar. And they're like, all right, we'll feed that back.
We'll feed. Do you know what I love about that? Why ask?
I know,
like, we'll feed that back to Nike.
Yeah.
Now that they've signed off on it and it's already been printed.
And it's not them making the kits the season after either.
Oh yeah, it's been changed.
It's Adidas, yeah. It's going to be Adidas.
I forgot to say that. Yeah, that's something that made me laugh about Klopp. In obviously, like, don't give a fuck anymore.
Oh, rocking the trackie.
Like sitting in an Adidas trackie for interviews. You're like,
did you see that sold out now as well? That trackie top, yeah. Back to talking about, like, if he wants to make dough and like, you know, low commitment, high pay, he can definitely just endorse some products and that'll be sound. He rocks an Adidas trackie, next minute it's sold out. What else we've got? Rory, all right lads, looking forward to the group therapy. We've witnessed some of the best footy ever played for the best part of a decade. I don't know if it's over. I don't know if it's over or we're going to keep ascending, but it all feels a bit weird. I think that's spot on, isn't it? Like, that's the overriding feeling for me at the minute. It just feels strange, and to see that many people en masse going, a whole new team coming in. And I think, you know, there was the best message from Carl earlier, wasn't there, about, you know, it's a lot of change, short amount of time. Like, already, like, I'm like, there's part of me where it's like, little break from footy now. And then you're like, it's not that long till it starts again though, is it?
No, and this is something, you mentioned it earlier, and I didn't chip in on. Despite last week we talked about, you know, the incomings and outgoings at the club, but all the incomings are like quite a high level. And all the people that we were seeing on the pitch yesterday leaving, they're like crucial roles in the in the sort of coaching team, fitness, goalkeeping coach, performance, like even general manager and stuff like that. And you're like, that's a lot of people to recruit in one go. And not only is it a lot of people to recruit in one go, that's a lot of people to blend together. It's working together for the start of the season.
And there's a thing here as well about, this was something I was thinking about, and you know, the way, I think I've heard the phrase a lot over the last few days about, you know, Klopp gets it. Klopp understands Liverpool. He understands the people. He understands the fans. And obviously, he will have carried a lot of influence behind the scenes. And then you're losing that. And then the people who are coming in with the best will in the world aren't going to be as clued up to the culture. Obviously, there are still people who work for the club that can help them with that. You know, even someone like, you know, like I don't know what his title is these days, something like director of first team communications or something like that. But, you know, you got Tony Barrett there, and like, I work with Tony, I know Tony, and I know he knows Liverpool and Liverpool culture inside out. So Slot's going to have him right next to him all the time, working with him on what he's saying, you know, briefing him on, you know, the situation, and then it'll still be up to Slot what he actually says.
Yeah.
But, you know, that would be good for him that he's got that help. But equally, you know, I think about John Henry and I think about FSG at times, and I think, got a lot of things right, but it's not that long ago that you were proposing a fucking Super League, and you couldn't have got that more wrong. Do you know what I mean? And you know, we had to wheel himself out, you know, come out of his coffin to say soz about that one, didn't he?
Well, more recently, the ticket price increase.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying here is, it's not beyond the realms that they get it wrong. You know what I mean? It's not beyond, and this is where, you know, when Ailes kicked in and it's taken me down the bluesy route, I was like, might be shite after this, you know, like, because it was so right for most of Jurgen's era, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? And it was so spot on in so many aspects. And I just hope we don't lose that. And I hope FSG don't go to FSG, if you know what I mean. I hope they recognise that one of the reasons they got it right is because of the things that Jurgen said and did. Don't rip that up now. And maybe that's where some of the concern from some people is coming with the head coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And so there's something for me that's sort of in the background, and I'm partly just intrigued by it, just to see what happens. And there's a little bit of worry about it. Is something my mate Gary Neville said, and has been saying for a long time. He said, if you look back, the Glazers were always the Glazers, but whilst Ferguson was there, he covered up for them.
Yeah.
Because he was so fucking powerful and so good at what he did. It wasn't until he left that you saw actually how they were running the club, and they've suffered ever since. And he's been saying that for a while now. Like, you need to be careful, because when Klopp goes, you're going to see how badly they're running your club. Not from a organisational viewpoint, but just from a football viewpoint. Like, you're only competing because of that man. And when he's gone, the competition stops. And that's the bit I'm intrigued by. Like, can they genuinely compete with Man City and with Arsenal now? And Chelsea are coming back. Chelsea got in Europe. It looks like they'll keep Pochettino, which means they'll build, they'll spend more money. United are going to come back at some point.
They had the biggest like XG difference as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Chelsea.
So if they just converted more of their chances, basically,
so they just basically get someone who can score goals,
exactly,
and not just Cole Palmer.
And look, their manager is good, and they seemingly be able to spend whatever they want. I'm just intrigued to see whether the model still works without Jurgen Klopp, and how much of it was his genius, and how much of it is just a great way to run a sports club.
And you go back to, I was doing it before, wasn't I, saying like inevitably in my head, you go back through the 9 years, and you go back to what came before, like where we were and where we are now. And when you think about Brendan, he got things wrong, undoubtedly. He washed dirty linen in public, which Klopp has said in his many interviews. There was bits in there where he basically said he didn't he?
And I could have done.
And he could have done, yeah. And he said, I don't feel that you should do that or something. He said something like that, didn't he? And then, there's the stuff about how Rodgers dealt with that Real Madrid tie, which, talking about, don't let it go. That's something that always still bugs me. I went out to Madrid for that game when he played that side. I, just went out and waved a big white flag and was just like, and it's like, that's not Liverpool.
That's a culture point though, isn't it? We were talking about that a week ago or 2 weeks ago. We win. We come to win. That was I remember at the time everyone being like, I remember being at Anfield and shouting at fans around me, like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
We're all here to take photos of Cristiano Ronaldo, are we?
Exactly.
When did that
and that's what I mean, and it feels like, under Jurgen we've sort of like all remembered what we should be doing, and remembered what we are about, and I just hope that stays in place for a good while, and that the next manager continues to reinforce the right messages and doesn't do anything daft like that where it's just the wrong shout. And we just don't know, do we? Until we get there and we see it and it happens, we don't know. We're obviously, we are back in the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
And I think most people will be like, well, we're in it and we're here to compete in it. We're not here and it's like, woo, we're in the Champions League. We're here, we're Liverpool 6 times winners of the Champions League.
Yeah.
We're not here to fuck about.
And look, I think that's something, as you say, you could have a word with Tony and say to him, tell him never to say anything like Hodgson did or never do anything like Rodgers did. But the reality is we just don't know what type of fella he is till he's there. At the end of the day, your personality just comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Klopp's personality was, I'm here to win, and all right, we won't always win, but we're going to do whatever we can to win. Rodgers' personality was slightly down from that, which is, well, we can't win this game, so we'll pack that. And you're like, no, mate, that's just not how we operate here. And then, Joe, the other end of the spectrum, which was the worst we've all ever experienced, was the mighty Roy Hodgson with his utopia of winning a Goodison Park. Like, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. And the reality is, until someone comes in, like Slot, we don't know enough about him. And I think that's where we all want to, I think we'd have all felt more comfortable, even though he's less experienced, with Alonso, because we know him better. Like, all right, we don't know him well enough as a manager, but he's had a decent enough start, hasn't he? An unbeaten Bundesliga win in his first full season, potentially an unbeaten treble, which is just off the chart. Like, could arguably be the greatest club side of all time in his first full season of management. But even without that, we know he's a winner as a footballer. We know his attitude to wanting to be the best as a player. So you've already got that. There's just a lot of unknowns about Slot. That's the concern I think everyone's got.
Just to wrap up, I like this one from Rod Dixon, who has tweeted us to say, Klopp's speech was perfect. It was about going forward and continuing to believe. And his assistance is... I'll do it again. Rod Dixon sent us a tweet and it said, Klopp's speech was perfect. It was about going forward and continuing to believe. His insistence we don't cry because it's over, but smile that it happened. That's a mantra for life. Nice, that, isn't it?
I like that.
Yeah, well in, Rod, into that. So we'll leave it there. They've been some of your comments about Jurgen Klopp's last day at the office. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you enjoyed the free show too. We'll be back next week. God knows what we'll be talking about, but we'll be talking about something. And how's that for a bit of marketing? See you next week.